Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining us today. We want to seek your good wishes and your blessings so that we can continue with the Srimad Bhagavad Puran, 8th chapter of the first canto. And this is following on from Narad Muni's discussions with Vyasdev, and then Vyasdev is describing the beginning of the Bhagavad Puran, or the Sutta Goswami is describing the beginning of Bhagavad Puran to Shonaka Rishi and the 1,000 sages at Naimisharanya. So this is a really, really interesting chapter. Prayers by Queen Kunti and Parikshit Maharaj saved. So we can make a start. Is Shavi is with us?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah, she's here.
Okay, she can read if she likes the English, yeah?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so Ananda Leela, you're welcome to start, huh?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare.
Shri Bhagavad Puran ki jai.
Yeah.
Prayers by Queen Kunti and Parikshit saved. Sutta uvacha athate samparetanam manam udakamichatam datum sakrishna gangayam puraskritya yayuh striyaha.
Sutta Goswami said, thereafter the Pandavas, desiring to deliver water to the dead relatives who had desired it, went to the Ganga with Draupadi. The ladies walked in front.
Te niniyodakam sarve vilapya cha bhrisham punaha apluta haripadabja rajaha puta sarij jale.
Having lamented over them and sufficiently offered Ganga water, they bathed in the Ganga, whose water is sanctified due to being mixed with dust of the lotus feet of the Lord.
Very well, yeah. Thank you so much. Let me just change the setting here. Okay, that's better. I like the way you said Ganga and not Ganges. I like that very much. Because Ganga is the correct name. Ganges is what's been given by the British who came.
Yes. Tatrasinam kurupatim dhristarastram sahanujam gandharim putra sukartam pritham krishnam cha madhavaha.
There sat the king of the Kurus, Maharaja Yudhishthir, along with his younger brothers and Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti and Draupadi, all overwhelmed with grief. Lord Krishna was also there.
Santvayam asa munibhir hatha bandhun sucharpitan bhuteshu kalasya gatim darshayanna pratikriyam.
Citing the stringent laws of the Almighty and their reactions upon living beings, Lord Sri Krishna and the Munis began to pacify those who were shocked and affected.
Sadhaidva jata satroha swam rajam kitavirhitam ghataidva sato rajyaha kachasparsha kshatayusaha.
The clever Duryodhan and his party cunningly usurp the kingdom of Yudhishthir, who had no enemy. By the grace of the Lord, the recovery was executed, and the unscrupulous kings had joined with Duryodhan were killed by him. Others also died, their duration of life having decreased for their rough for their rough handling of the hair of Queen Draupadi.
Mm.
याजयित्वा स्वमेधैस्तं त्रिभिरुत्तमकल्पकैः तद्या सह पावनं दिक्षु सतमन्योरिवातनोत्.
Lord Sri Krishna caused 3 well-performed Ashwamedh yajnas, horse sacrifices, to be conducted by Maharaj Yudhishthir, and thus caused his virtuous fame to be glorified in all directions, like that of Indra, who had performed 100 of sacrifices.
आमन्त्र्य पाण्डुपुत्रांश्च सैन्ययोद्धव संयुतः द्वैपायनादिभिर्विप्रैः पूजितैः प्रतिपूजितः.
Lord Sri Krishna then prepared for his departure. He invited the sons of Pandu after having been worshipped by the Brahmins, headed by Srila Vyasdev. The Lord also reciprocated greetings.
Very nicely reading this, Shavi. Thank you so much. So a quick summary of the first 7 verses. And this chapter, as we just saw, called Prayers by Queen Kunti and Parikshit Maharaj saved. Thereafter, the Pandavas, so this is after the war and the punishment that was given to Ashwatthama by Arjun of shaving his head off and taking off his what you call it, on his forehead. Anyway, he removed it. What was it?
Money.
What's on the forehead of Ashwatthama?
Money.
Yeah, jewel. That's right. So after that event, the Pandavas, desiring to deliver water to the dead relatives, went to the Ganga with Draupadi. So this is quite an important thing. When our relatives pass away, we take, if we are in Bharat, then we can go to a holy place, and that's where cremation can take place. Or the cremation can take place, and then the ashes are put in the holy waters. So in this case, they must have taken the ashes to the Ganga of the dead relatives. This is in order to purify their existence. Their existence is already finished, but such activities assist the Atma going forward. So in his next life or in her next life, that whatever the relatives do will help them in that situation, in that life. Citing the stringent laws of the Almighty and their reactions upon living beings, Krishna and the sages pacified those who are shocked and affected. So when we lose our dear and close relatives and friends, it's a very shocking thing, because we expect them to be forever with us, like we expect forever to live in this body. We don't remember that we could leave this body at any moment. So this attachment is actually what keeps us in this world. As long as we are attached to things in this world, we'll stay here. If we become attached to the Supreme Lord, then we'll go to the Supreme Lord. It's a very simple formula. Simple formula, but not easy to execute, because we become very attached to our children, to our possessions, to our homes, to our husband and wife, so many things, our job, our money, our bank account. But it's very unfortunate, because all of these they're not real. In the end, they're all temporary. They'll all finish at some point. But our attachment continues to these temporary things. And this is what is our downfall, unfortunately. But we have to try to educate ourselves and try to understand that everything in this material world is temporary, and we should treat it as that. It's a place where we are renting this body to live here, and it's not a permanent home. I don't know if you've come across this Mr. Bean video where he goes into a hotel room and he starts knocking the wall down and putting up pictures and decorating the room, and everybody is laughing because that's a crazy thing to do, because he's not going to live in that hotel very long, just a night or two. So we have the same situation, and I'm sure the devatas and they're laughing at us that we're creating this place where we think we're going to live forever, but we're just renting it, short period of time. It'll be over soon. So we don't treat this place as our home. It doesn't mean we become callous in our attitude towards others. No, we still lovingly treat everybody, but we understand that this is a very temporary situation. Our real relationship is with God, and we try to develop that relationship. It's a fundamental point. So the Krishna and the sages are pacifying those who are shocked and affected. And then after causing 3 well-performed Ashwamedha sacrifices to be conducted by King Yudhishthira, Lord Krishna then prepared for his departure for Dwarka. Oops, what happened? Sorry, just a little technical issue. Just bear with us. Okay, let's see what you're seeing now. Okay. So text number 8.
Gantum kritaamatir brahman dwarakam ratham ashtitaha upalebhe bhidhavantim uttaram bhaya vihivalam.
As soon as he seated himself on the chariot to start for Dwarka, he saw Uttara hurrying towards him in fear.
Now, Uttara is the granddaughter of Arjun. No, sorry, she's a daughter-in-law of Arjun because Uttara was married to Abhimanyu, and Abhimanyu is a son of Arjun.
Uttaro vacha pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate nanyam tvad abhyayam pasye yatra mrityuh parashparam.
Uttara said, O Lord of Lords, Lord of the universe, you are the greatest of
Mystics.
mystics.
Oh, sorry.
Please protect me, for there is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death in the world of duality.
Uttara, very intelligent lady. She immediately went to Krishna when she saw danger.
Abhidravati mamisha sarastapta yaso vibho kamam dahatu mam natha mami garbho nipachatam.
Oh my Lord, you are all powerful. A fiery iron arrow is coming towards me fast. My Lord, let it burn me personally, if you so desire, but please do not let it burn and abort my embryo. Please do me this favor, Lord, my Lord.
Sutta uvacha upadharya vachastasya bhagavan bhakta vatsalaha apandavam idam kartum Dronirashram abudhyata.
Suta Goswami said, having patiently heard her words, Lord Shri Krishna, who is always very affectionate to his devotees, could at once understand that Ashwatthama, the son of Dronacharya, had thrown the Brahmastra to finish the last life in the Pandava family.
So this is the second Brahmastra he throws.
Tarhi evatha muni shrestha pandavaha pancha sayakan atmano bhimukhan diptan alakshastrani upadadu.
Foremost among the great thinkers, Munis Shaunak, seeing the glaring Brahmastras proceeding towards them, the Pandavas took up their 5 respective weapons.
Vyasanam diksha tattesham ananya vishayatmanam sudarsanena swastrena swanam raksham vyadhat vibhuhu.
The Almighty Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, having observed that a great danger was befalling his unalloyed devotees who were fully surrendered souls, at once took up his Sudarshan to protect them.
Antahastah sarvabhutanam atma yogeshwaro hari swamayaya vrinod garbham vairatya kurutantave.
The Lord of Supreme Mysticism, Shri Krishna, resides within everyone's heart as the Paramatma. Yes. As such, to protect the progeny of the Kuru dynasty, he covered the embryo of Uttara by his personal energy.
Yadyapi astram brahmasiras tva amogham cha pratikriyam vaishnavam teja ashadya samasamya brigudvaha.
O Shaunak, glory of Brigu family, although the supreme Brahmastra weapon released by Ashwatthama was irresistible and without check on counteraction, it was neutralized and foiled when confronted by the strength of Vishnu, Lord Krishna.
Oops, sorry.
Mamam sthahi etadascharya sarvascharya mae chute ya idam maya devya Srijati avati hanti ajaha.
O Brahmins, do not think this to be especially wonderful in activities of the mysterious and infallible personality of Godhead. By his own transcendental energy, he recreates, maintains, and he creates, maintains, and annihilates all material things, although he himself is unborn.
Very good. Well done. Some big words there. Annihilates means destroys. At the end, so these 8-9 verses, at that time, the pregnant Uttar came running towards Krishna in fear, begging to be protected from a fiery iron arrow, another Brahmastra released by Ashwatthama coming towards her. Krishna immediately invoked his Sudarshan Chakra to protect them both. That weapon was neutralized and foiled by the strength of Krishna. This is the beauty of Krishna. He always protects his devotees. So let me just, there should be a picture somewhere. Oh, what happened to that picture? Here it is. Okay, there you go. So this is a very nice painting done by somebody. This is Parikshit in the womb of Uttara, his mother. And there is Vishnu, who has come to protect Parikshit from the Sudarshan Chakra, or from the Brahmastra. And if you see here, this boy is looking at him, very carefully looking at him. Who is this amazing person? And this is relevant later. We'll see this come up later. And that's one of the reasons why he's called Parikshit, examiner.
Brahma tejo vinirmuktir atmajay saha krishnaya prayanabhimukham krishnam idham aha prithasati.
Thus saved from the radiation of the Brahmastra, Kunti, the chaste devotee of the Lord, and her 5 sons, and Draupadi addressed Lord Krishna as he started for home.
Kunti uvacha namashe purusham tvadyam ishwaram prakritihi param alaksham sarva bhutanam antarbahirabashtitam.
Srimati Kunti said, O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything, yet you are invisible to all.
Maya javanikachanam ajadhoksajamavyayam nalakshase muddhadrisha nato nacha dharo yatha.
Being beyond the range of limited sense perception, you are eternally irreproachable factor covered by the curtain of deluding energy. You are invisible to the foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized.
Yeah, that's basically saying, if you see if you see a drama and Krishna's, somebody's playing the role of Krishna, because he's decorated so nicely, you know, blue skin, crown, and wig, you may not recognize who that player is. So similarly, the Lord is invisible to the foolish observer who can't see, can't recognize the Lord.
Tatha paramahamsanam muninam amalatmanam bhakti yoga vidhanartham katham pashyemahi striyaha.
You yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators, who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How then can we women know you perfectly?
Women have a better chance than men of knowing Krishna perfectly because they're devoted naturally.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has become the son of Vasudev, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nand, and the other cowherd men of Vrindavan, and the enlivener of the cows and the senses,
What an amazing verse. Beautiful verse. Beautiful, beautiful verse.
Namah Pankajanaභaya, Namah Pankajamaline, Namah Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangraye.
My respectful obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with the depression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as the lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses.
Yatha Hirshikesha Khalina Devaki Kamsena Rudhati Chiram Sucharpita Vimochitaham cha Sahatmaja Vibho Tvaeva Nathe Namur Vipadganat.
O Rishikesh, master of the senses and lord of lords, you have released your mother, Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious king Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers.
Vishan Mahanye Purushad Darshanat Asat Sabhaya Vanavasa Krichrataha Mridhe Nikamaharathasrato Droni Astratas Chashma Hare Birakshitaha.
My dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwatthama.
Vipadah santutah sasvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yat syad apunar bhavadarshanam.
I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths.
This is prayer of a very advanced devotee of the Lord, Kunti Mata. She wants to see more difficulties so that she can keep on remembering the Lord. But we don't need to do this prayer because we get a little bit upset. Even a small thing goes wrong and forget the Lord altogether. So, but this shows the advancement of Kunti Devi, Kunti Mata.
Janmaishwarya Shruta Shibhir Edhamana Madaha Puman Naivarhati Abhidhatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam.
My lord, your lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling.
So this is one of the most critical verses in this whole of the Srimad Bhagavatam, because Kunti Mata is really laying it down that those who want to see their lives improve through working, through opulence, education, beauty, they're enamored by this world. They cannot approach you with sincere feeling. Only those who are materially exhausted, those who had enough of this world, enough is enough, they can approach you very easily. This is really powerful, and we can probably experience it with our own lives. When we're happy, we tend to forget the Lord. When we're unhappy, we tend to remember him.
Namo Kinchana Vittaya Nivrita Gunavrittaye Atma Ramaya Santaya Kaivalya Pataye Namaha.
My obeisances are unto you, who are the property of the materially impoverished. You have nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material modes of nature. You are self-satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle and are masters of the monists.
Okay, so let's have a little break here. Very important section of the Bhagavatam. Mother Kunti's prayers. Thus again saved by the Lord, Queen Kunti glorified the wonderful qualities of Krishna, wishing that calamities would come again and again, because in that way they can see Krishna again and again. He would come personally to protect them and thus avoid repeated birth and death. Krishna is easily approached by those who are materially exhausted, rather than those who are on the path of material progress, wanting wealth, education, strength, beauty, etc. They cannot approach him, Krishna, sincerely. And the Lord is the property of one who has no other shelter. So this is it. This is the bit which is such an important part of Bhagavatam. We have nothing else but the Lord. How does that become possible? Only by his grace. When he takes everything away from us and we become attached to him, that's his blessing. That's his mercy. Some people might think, wait a minute, I'm poor, and how can I, consider this as the mercy of the Lord? But actually, if one takes shelter of the Supreme Lord, when one loses everything, that shelter is the best, because the Lord becomes indebted to that person. It's a tough one to digest, but this is actually a very interesting formula of becoming God conscious.
Manye tvam kalamishyanam anadi nidhanam vibhum samam charantam sarvatra bhutanam yanmithah kalihi.
My Lord, I consider your Lordship to be eternal time, the supreme controller, without beginning and end, an all-pervasive one. In distributing your mercy, you are equal to everyone. The dissensions between living beings are due to social intercourse.
Na veda kaschid bhagavam chikirsitam tavehamanasya nayanam vidambanam na yashya kaschid daitosti karhichid dveshascha yashmin vishamamatirninam.
O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and so are misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial.
This is indicating that the Lord is impartial to anybody and everybody.
Janma karma cha vishvatman ajashya karturatmanaha tiryan narsishu yadasu tad achanta vidambanam.
Of course, it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work, though you are inactive, and that you take birth, though you are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering.
Gopya tatvai kritagasiddham tavad yate dasasru kalilanjana sambriratmaksam vaktam niniya bhaya bhavanayasti tasya samam vimohayati bhirapi yadbhibheti.
My dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes, and you were afraid though fear personified is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me.
This is the nature of the Supreme Lord. He's inconceivable. Everybody's scared of him. The sun rises because he's scared of Krishna. Yet, Krishna himself was scared of his Yashoda Mai. Really extraordinary.
केचिद् आहुरजं जातं पुण्यश्लोकस्य कीर्तये यदोः प्रियाशान्ववाये मलयस्यैव चन्दनम्.
Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills.
अपरे वासुदेवस्य देवक्यां याचितोऽभ्यगात् अजस्त्वम् अस्य क्षेमाय वधाय च सुरद्विषाम्.
Others say that since both Vasudeva and Devaki prayed for you, you've taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly, you are unborn, yet you take your birth for their welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigods.
भारवतारणायान्ये भुवो नाव इवो ददो सीदन्त्या भूरि भारेण जातो हि आत्मा भुवार्तितः.
Others say that the world being overburdened like a boat at sea is much aggrieved, and that Brahma, who is your son, prayed for you, and so you've appeared to diminish the trouble.
भवेस्मिन् क्लिश्यमानानाम् अविद्या कामकर्मभिः श्रवणस्मरणार्हानि करिष्यामीति केचन.
And yet, others say that you appeared for the sake of rejuvenating the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshipping, and so on, in order that the conditioned souls suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation.
शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति अभिक्ष्णसः स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तव हितं जनाः ता एव पश्यन्ति अचिरेण तावकम् भव प्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम्.
O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant, and repeat your transcendental activities or take pleasure in others doing so certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death.
So what we're doing now through reciting this Bhagavatam is hearing, chanting, and repeating his transcendental activities. This is what's going to help us stop this repetition of birth and death, this samsara. So let's see what Queen Kunti's prayers. She glorifies the Lord. Although the Lord is inactive, he takes birth to please the Yadus. He appears in this world to rejuvenate bhakti, those who constantly hear and chant and repeat his transcendental activities will see his lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. So it looks like the Lord appears. I mean, he's born, but he's not born because he's eternal. And he takes a mother and father in order to give joy and pleasure to his devotees. We shouldn't think that he takes birth because he's subjected to karma. These are really important sections now coming up, which are very, very instructive.
अपि अद्यनस्त्वं स्वकृते हिता प्रभो जिहाससि स्वेत्सुहृदोऽनुजीविनः येषां न जान्यात् भवतः पदाम्बुजात् परायणं राजसूयोजितामहसाम्.
O my Lord, you executed all duties yourself. Are you leaving us today? Though we are completely dependent on your mercy and have no one else to protect us, now when all kings are at enmity with us.
What happened?
It's here, Anandalila.
Oh, sorry, Prabhu. I don't know what happened on our screen. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I went a little too far.
No, our screen just like sort of froze. Something else happened.
Oh, I know. Internet has been playing up actually.
Yes, yes. But I've got it. Okay.
Okay.
केवयं नाम रूपाभ्यां यदुभिः सह पाण्डवाः भवतो दर्शनं यर्हि ऋषिकानामिवेशितुः.
As the name and fame of a particular body is finished with the disappearance of the living spirit, similarly, if you do not look upon us, all our fame and activities, along with the Pandavas and Yadus, will end at once.
नेयं सोऽभीष्यते तत्र यथेदानीं गदाधर त्वत्पदैरङ्किता भाति स्वलक्षणा विलक्षितैः.
O Gadadhar Krishna, our kingdom is now being marked by the impressions of your feet, and therefore it appears beautiful. But when you leave, it will no longer be so.
इमे जनपदा श्रद्धाः सुपक्वोषधिविरुधाः वनाद्रि नदी उदन्वन्तो हि इधन्ते तव वीक्षितैः.
All these cities and villages are flourishing in all respects because the herbs and grains are in abundance. The trees are full of fruits, the rivers are flowing, the hills are full of minerals, and the oceans full of wealth. And this is all due to your glancing over them.
अथा विश्वेश विश्वात्मन् विश्वमूर्ति स्वकेषु मे स्नेहापाशम् इमं चिन्धि दृढं पाण्डुषु वृष्णिषु.
O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, O personality of the form of the universe, please, therefore, sever my tie of affection for my kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis.
Look at this. This is really incredible. They're devotees, but she wants her tie of affection to be severed from them even.
त्वयि मेनन्य विषया मतिर्मधुपते सकृत् रतिम् उद्वाहताद् अधा गंगे वोघम् उदन्वति.
O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganga forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else.
Shri Krishna Krishna Sakha Vrishni Rishabhavani Dhruv Rajanya Vamsadaha Nana Pavarga Virya Govinda Godvija Surarthi Haravatara Yogeshwara Khila Guru Bhagavan Namaste.
O Krishna, O friend of Arjun, O chief amongst the descendants of Vrishni, you are the destroyer of those political parties which are disturbing elements on this earth. Your prowess never deteriorates. You are the proprietor of the transcendental abode, and you descend to relieve the distress of the cows, the Brahmins, and the devotees. You possess all mystic powers, and you are the preceptor of the entire universe. You are the Almighty God, and I offer you my respectful obeisances.
Okay, this is really incredible stuff. She continued her prayer. Oh Lord, you are leaving us today, although we are completely dependent on your mercy and have no other protection. Our kingdom is marked by impressions of your lotus feet, and it appears beautiful. But when you leave it, it will no longer be so. And then this prayer here, which is so incredible. Please sever my ties of affection from my kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis, so that my attraction be forever drawn to you without being diverted to anyone else. Now we have to remember the Pandavas are devotees of the Lord, right? Arjun is one of the best friends of the Lord. And yet what is Kunti Mata's prayer? Sever my relationship even from the Pandavas, because I want my relationship to be exclusively with you. So this is intense. This is a level of intensity that attracts the mercy of the Lord. If we're thinking, I've got somebody in my back pocket just in case Krishna isn't there, that's not going to work. It's complete exclusive devotion without any other options. This is what attracts the Lord's mercy. It forces him to become merciful unto us. So this prayer is so powerful. It certainly helped me a great deal in my life, in recent times especially. So it's a very, very, very powerful prayer to remember. Okay. So this is, I think, the last segment that we're looking at now.
Sutta uvacha prithayetham kalapadaiः parinutakilodaya mandam jahasa vaikuntho mohayan iva mayaya.
Sutta Goswami said, the Lord, thus hearing the prayers of Kunti Devi, composed in choice words for his glorification, mildly smiled. That smile was as enchanting as his mystic power.
Tambadham iti upamantrya pravisha gaja sahavayam shriyascha swapuram yashan premna raja nivaritaha.
Thus, accepting the prayers of Srimati Kunti Devi, the Lord subsequently informed other ladies of his departure by entering the palace of Hastinapur. But upon preparing to leave, he was stopped by King Yudhishthir, who implored him lovingly.
Vyasadyer Ishware Hajyahi Krishnenadbhuta Karmana Prabodhito piti hasyair na budhyata sucharpitaha.
King Yudhishthir, who was much aggrieved, could not be convinced, despite instructions by the great sages headed by Vyas and the Lord Krishna himself, the performer of superhuman feats, and despite all historical evidence.
Aha raja dharma sutas chintayan suhridam vyadham prakritenatmana vipraha sneha moha vasamgataha.
King Yudhishthir, son of Dharma, overwhelmed by the death of his friends, was aggrieved just like a common materialistic man. O sages, thus deluded by affection, he began to speak.
Aho me pashyata jnanam हृदिरुद्धं दुरात्मनः पारक्षशैव देहस्य बाह्व्यो मेक्षो हि निर्हताः.
King Yudhishthir said, "O my Lord, I am the most sinful man. Just see my heart, which is full of ignorance. This body, which is ultimately meant for others, has killed many, many phalanxes of men."
Hmm.
बालद्विजा सुहृन्मित्र पित्र भ्रात्र गुरुद्रुहाः न मे शानरयान् मोक्षो हि अपि वर्षायुतायुतैः.
I've killed many boys, Brahmins, well-wishers, friends, parents, preceptors, and brothers. Though I live millions of years, I will not be relieved from the hell that awaits me for all these sins.
Great humility.
नैनो राज्यः प्रजा भर्तुर्धर्मयुद्धे वधो द्विषाम् इति मे न तु बोधाय कल्पते शासनं वचः.
There is no sin for a king who kills for the right cause, who is engaged in maintaining his citizens. But this injunction is not applicable to me.
त्रिनामद्धत बन्धूनां द्रोहो योऽसा विहोतितः कर्मभिर्गृहमेधियैर्नाहं कल्पो व्यपोहितुम्.
I have killed many friends of women, and I have thus caused enmity to such an extent that it is not possible to undo it by material welfare work.
यथा पङ्केन पङ्काम्बः सुरया वासुराकृतं भूतहत्यां तथैवैकां न जज्ञिर्मर्ष्टुम् अर्हति. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna.
As it is not possible to filter muddy water through mud or purify a wine-stained pot with wine, it is not possible to counteract the killing of men by sacrificing animals.
So, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, first canto, chapter 8 Ki Jai. So this is the last section there. Upon preparing to leave, the Supreme Lord Krishna was lovingly stopped by King Yudhishthir. Overwhelmed by the death of his friends, he said to the Supreme Lord that this body, which is ultimately meant for others, has killed many, many men. And even if he lived for millions of years, he will not be relieved from the hell that awaits him. So this is the humility, great humility of Yudhishthir. Of course, he was not sinful at all. And in fact, because of the presence of the Supreme Lord, his existence was completely purified. Yet, due to his humility, he pleaded with the Lord that please help me, because I cannot see how I will be ever relieved from the hell that awaits me. This is really very amazing person, amazing ruler of the whole world, who's pleading to the Lord in such amazing humility. So, and then I just wanted to show you, this is one of the wonderful paintings done of Queen Kunti praying to the Supreme Lord, who accepts her prayers and smiled at her. That smile was very amazing, as always. Lord's smile is mystical. So that's the end of chapter 8. Any questions? Very instructive chapter. Prayers of Kunti, very important chapter as well. Any questions, any comments, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Punamadaji.
Prabhuji, who are Vrishnis?
Vrishni, that's the name of one of the ancestors of Krishna. He is like the great-great-grandfather, Vrishni. He was very famous, very powerful. And let me just have a look here. I've got it here. Vrishni. Yeah, from Vrishni, his ancestors were the Yadus. So Yadu, he was like his his grandfather, I think. And then from Vrishni came Surasen. Surasen was the father of Vasudev and Kunti Mata as well. So he is like the grandfather of Kunti. So the Vrishni, this dynasty is known as the Vrishni because he was such a powerful personality, as was Yadu. So they're also known as Yadus. So in this way, the ancestors' names, especially of those who were very influential in that dynasty, is it sort of defines that dynasty. So, is that okay?
Yeah,
Purnamati?
yeah, Prabhuji. So, sorry again.
Hmm.
Yadu was the dynasty, right?
Yeah, Yadu came before Vrishni.
Okay.
Yeah, Yadu came before. So Yadu is like the grandfather of Vrishni.
Okay.
And this also is known as Satvata dynasty. And Vrishni and Satvata were companions, were like brothers actually.
Okay.
So this dynasty is known by many different names, but the most famous is Yadu, the Yadu dynasty. Yeah, the most famous.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Krishna. Thank you for picking that up and asking.
Prabhu 36.
Verse 36?
36 verse.
Okay, let me just pick it.
Jananti gayanti Sri Gananto Vishaka Saranti Nananti Bhavati Jana To Evo Pashanti Achireno Tabapang Bhavo Prukaro Paramang Padanujam. So, Prabhu, here is a say, if anybody always kirtan, always is a memorizing, always always Hari Kirtan, Hari Nam, and all of this, and then end of the day, he will liberate from the birth and death.
Yes. Absolutely. This is very important verse. What is your question?
Yeah, is it? I think I like this verse.
Yeah.
If anybody do that, it is easier for people.
Yeah.
We can only that many things there. Alternative lot of things. We can't do that all of this. Only kirtan, only memorize, only read and discuss and Hari Seva, all of these things. Few things if you want to do, I think so is a one good way to close to Krishna.
Very good point. Yeah, this is a fundamental verse, actually. Very important verse. It can take us out. Of course, it does. It can take us out as long as our focus is very sharp. Huh? So if we're also hearing other things, other nonsense, and chanting other things, and talking and reading other books not related to Krishna, then of course our progress will be somewhat slowed down. If our exclusive hearing, chanting, talking about Krishna's activities, taking pleasure in doing so, then this will surely one day lead to the us to come out of this samsara, because our hearts will become completely purified.
Yes.
So, but it's a very nice verse. I agree with you. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? Anything else?
Prabhuji,
yes.
In continuity of to this shlok, why is it we always hear that we want to get out of the cycle of birth and death? Why are we always told that moksha or attaining param dham, attaining Krishna is one of our goals, or it's the ultimate goal, But why is always, it is mentioned that, we have to escape this cycle of birth and death?
I always, when I go to schools, I joke with them, no more nappies. Because every time we're born, we have to learn how to wear nappies again. It's funny, but actually it's a very important philosophical point behind that. Because we're just chewing the chewed. Every time we take birth, we're just wasting our time in this world, because there's nothing of any substance in this world. It's all very temporary. Even if we acquire the whole universe, ultimately there's something called death. We have to leave this body and we start all over again, learning to wear nappies all over again. So this is why this material world is considered very futile. Nothing can be achieved of any substance in this place, because it has an end. It always has an end. Even if you have good relationships with others, it will finish because we leave the body. Even if we do the most incredible work, it will finish because we leave the body. We take the karma with us, so we will have the impact of what we did in our next life, but we won't understand that because we don't know what we did in our last life. So that's why it's considered, ignorance is, some places ignorance is bliss, but actually ignorance means there's no substance to what we are doing in this world. The only substance we have, any substance attributed to, is it's bhakti, because beauty of bhakti is it's never lost. With karma, ultimately we can wash away the good and the bad karma. But with bhakti, you even do 1% of bhakti, that stays for eternity until we go back to the spiritual world. That 1% will turn into 2%, 3%, 4%, like that. So that has value, that has substance. And bhakti is connected with the Supreme Lord and as you said, the spiritual world. But anything other than connected to bhakti, other than that, other than Krishna or Paramatma or Vishnu, no substance. That's why it's absolute waste of time, this repeated birth and death. There's nothing to gain from it. Just pain, no gain. Does that make sense?
True, Prabhuji. Yep. Thank you.
It's a valid question. Why do we want to get out of this world? Because, sometimes people become quite happy in their situation, but we have to understand that happiness is temporary. It will finish one day. It will go. It will disappear. If not today, it will go tomorrow, but it will finish one day. And if one is overly sad or unhappy, that also will finish. It's not just that happiness is finished, but sadness is also finished.
Yeah. So my only logic, or I was just trying to understand, is it's not escapism. We are not trying to escape.
No.
Yeah.
Very good point. Actually, fantastic point. Was Arjun's point was, let me go to the forest to escape his duty. And Krishna said, no, that's ridiculous. You're going to incur more karma. And when somebody, you're begging for something, somebody says, no, you'll pick up your Gandiva and shoot them. And I'll be laughing at you. Because that's your nature, you're Kshatriya. So no, you can't avoid doing your duty. But doing your duty doesn't mean that you will be bound to this world. Doing your duty, when it's connected to the Supreme Lord, becomes bhakti. So Arjun, how did he do that? Krishna advised him, fight, but think of me. So offer your fruits to me. Always remember me. Always chant my glories. And in that way, Krishna instructed him to do bhakti whilst doing his duty. So we don't believe in escapism. We don't turn to bhakti as a means to avoid doing our duties, but we can dovetail our duties into bhakti. So you can do your duty So you have children, you raise them in a Krishna, in a God-conscious manner, which you are doing. That's bhakti, because you are doing your duty, but you're dovetailing it, you're linking it with the Supreme Lord. That's fantastic, because you're not neglecting your children, you're just directing them in the right way. That's really top class, first class. But then don't be too attached, because you don't know what the children will end up doing. They may, in the future, take a different direction. That's their business. Your business is to guide them in the right way. After you've guided them, after they're old enough, they then can choose any path they want. It may be different from the one you're thinking or you train them in. That's not your choice. You have to let go. And I've had to learn this. And you have to just move on. You just have to move on. No attachment. Like Queen Kruti said, don't let me be even attached to my own children. That's that's not easy, but has to be done.
Yes, true, Prabhuji.
It's
Thank
tough.
you.
It's tough. It's tough
Yeah.
because, when you're bringing your children up, then you so much care and love, and how do you detach from that? Whew. But the Lord sometimes forces it, and that's good. When he forces it, thank God, it's painful, but actually you end up thanking him. If you hadn't forced me, I'd still be attached, It's a tough one, but it's a good one to learn. Thank you. Thank you very much for your question. Hope that helps.
Certainly, Prabhuji, certainly. Yeah, thank you very much.
Anybody else? Anything else? Otherwise, we'll call it a day. Thank you so much for joining us and relishing the Bhagavatam. It's such a fantastic scripture.
Prabhuji, I think Vimal has a question.
Prabhuji, sorry.
Of course, yes.
So, all our historic religious, mythological scriptures, some or other way, describes Punarjanma, previous Janma, next birth and all. But as a human being in my entire life, I won't have a single experience which will physically or mentally let me believe that there will be actually another birth. So how do you put a trust on?
Yes, good question.
Whether there will be another birth, was there any other previous birth, or is there any real logic of?
That's a good question. Very good question, actually. And the thing is, you mentioned mythology. Mythology is something that's a myth, right? Doesn't really exist. Our scriptures, our tradition, our culture, Sanatana Dharma is not mythology. It's factual. How do we get that trust and faith in it? It's living it. It's trying to understand it. It's to study it. In terms of reincarnation, you forget about our scriptures. Forget about what he says in the scripture. You can just ignore all the scriptures. There is enough evidence out there in the world done by scientists. If you have faith in the scientists, then you will get faith in reincarnation. There's a fellow called Dr. Ian Stevenson. He's died now, probably reincarnated into something very nice. But he did a lot of research about near-death experiences, about how children remember their past lives. And these children, even the other day in the Daily Mail, there was a report that parents are getting spooked because 3-year-olds are remembering their past lives. And they're telling their parents, this is what I was in my last life. Now, there's a lot of research done which substantiates some of the claims of these children. And Dr. Ian Stevenson was very instrumental in going to India and interviewing these children, checking out the background, checking out what they were saying and how it corresponds to actual facts. And I'll give you one example. There was a 3-year-old boy who remembered that he owned in his last life a shop in a certain village. He was married to a certain woman. He lived in a certain family. Now the family, the 3-year-old's family was, in a state of disbelief. How do we believe this boy? Anyway, they took this boy to the place that he claims was his. So he said this his previous in his previous life, the wife, she was married to somebody else. He pointed to the man and said, "Leave her alone. She's my wife." This is a 3-year-old boy, right? He also guided them to some money he had hidden in his shop. In this way, again, it's not something that we're just making up. It's something that scientists like this Ian Stevenson actually did research, and he's got book after book, or not book after book, but he's got paper after paper on this. And it's worth looking at it. It's worth doing the research, because that will give you the faith that there is something people remember their past lives. Just because I don't remember my past life doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's a blessing that we don't remember our past life, because who knows, we could be sitting next to the person who stepped on our foot 5 lives ago, and we still remember, we still want to get revenge for that if we remembered our past lives. Better not to remember. We start with a clean slate. It's good. Of course, the disadvantage is when we suffer, we don't understand why we're suffering. But as devotees, we understand that this is karma, this is punishment for something we've done in the past, and that punishment should be much more, but the Lord has made it very little. But karma and reincarnation are very much intricately related. Another argument is, God is very merciful, very kind. So how come somebody is born with a silver spoon in their mouth? Somebody is born with no legs, no hands, no eyes, no ears sometimes. So is this God of ours unjust, that he's making one person suffer and yet another enjoy? No, if God is equal, we read in the Bhagavatam, he's equal to all. He's just, he's kind, he's compassionate. So why are there these differences? The only account of that can be because something's happened in the past to make that difference take place. And that's karma. Otherwise, we would conclude that God is an unfair, ruthless, nasty piece of work, which he isn't, right? And if we conclude he's nasty, then we would be atheistic. We wouldn't believe in God. But we have some belief system in God, that he's fair, he's kind, he's merciful, he's compassionate. So if we have even a tinge of belief in that, we will understand that differences in humans and animals and every type of life is there because of some past reason, not that God has become unjust. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Prabhuji.
Okay. Thank you for that question. Very important question, actually. Very.
I'll have also a little bit of a research and study of that guy's papers. Yeah, I'll see that.
It's worth it. I remember I gave a class, Ashwin Bhai's group, interfaith group, and I mentioned this Ian Stevens, and a couple of the people said, yes, I've read his work. It's very interesting work. And one was a Muslim, one was a Christian person. So it was very nice to have that confirmation that, I've read his work, and yes, it makes some sense. So, and this is nothing to do with religion. It's just it crosses religions. It crosses any belief systems, because these are universal truths.
Yeah, actually, it is also noted in our scriptures as well. I can't remember, right now recollect the name of that Puran, but it is very clearly mentioned for the amount of pap that we do, the kind of birth that we have in the next of incarnation. So in the next life, not, yeah. So I really can't recollect, but there's a huge, I think, whole Puran, written on that watch your karma. If you're not going to watch your karma, you're going to end up in this situation. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's in the Bhagavad Puran, it's there already, but also the Manu Samhita, the laws of Manu. In there, it's given what you do, how it'll impact you. So, and other scriptures as well, but we'll come across it in the Bhagavad Puran. It's hair-raising stuff.
Oh yeah, certainly. It's scary actually.
It's scary, yeah.
It's scary, yeah. But I mean, I remember when I was young, I read it and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to us?
Yeah. I mean, in the Manu Samhita, it says, if you leave one grain of rice behind in the pot of pan that you've cooked and you wasted it, you're going to suffer a lot. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what the suffering, but even one grain of rice.
Oh yes, and especially that one grain of rice is so important. Even Krishna went to Draupadi for
Yeah.
and that one grain of rice. So yeah, and in certain cultures, where rice is the staple food,
Yeah.
they will never ever waste rice,
Yeah.
or they will try
Right.
their best not to waste rice, because it's the main grain for source of nutrition or energy.
That's
So
right. That's right.
yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that made me think again about when we're washing up, what do we find in there, and be very careful what we throw away.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Good. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time and effort, and Shevi's reading, Mataji, your reading, very nice as well. So, oh, Surinder, anything you'd like to add? He's always got some drops of nectar to share.
Hare Krishna, Dandavad Prabhu, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, very interesting, Prabhu. Very, very educative. Excellent, Prabhu. That's okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Take care. See you next week for this class. Otherwise, tomorrow we'll be doing the Radha Sahasranam Part 2, 1,000 Names of Radharani. It's on Tuesdays, Radhastami. And we celebrate Radhastami more than Krishnastami, Janmastami. So these are really ecstatic days now, actually.
Tomorrow, what time?
3:30.
3:30. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sometime
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you.